Welcome everyone, and thank you for viewing this video. As part of this demo, we're going to be going over the 42Q Digital Factory Starter Kit. During this demo, we're going to show you how the 42Q Digital Factory Starter Kit gives you the ability to enforce route control. So you're going to be able to specifically say where units have to go from one location to the next. And somebody has to be authorized to do any kind of deviations from this route in there. So this is going to enforce quality and make sure that things are done correctly in your route. You're also going to be able to have the ability to do track and trace. So you're going to know where each unit went, all the information, all the attributes, all the assembly parts, everything that went on to that unit. You'll be able to track all that information and know exactly where that unit is in the process. Be able to have the ability to do online work instructions. So instead of having to have paper work instructions for your operators, and if you ever need to update these, making sure that everybody has the most up-to-date SOP or whatever the information is that they need. With 42Q, you have the ability to do online work instructions. So if you need to update an SOP or something like that, you do it in the system, and then immediately all your operators have the most up-to-date information. So you know that they always have the correct documentation for what they're actually working on. You have the ability to run on-demand reports. So you can do these as needed, or you can actually schedule them to be ran. So you can pull up reports on your units, on all your key performance indicators, and you can view that information quickly and easily. And you're going to have the ability to see real-time factory working using 42Q Live. So this is a screen that you can have up on a TV or one of your computer screens in your office, and you're going to be able to see the real-time status of all the lines, OEE information, and machines on your factory floor. So you can see how everything is currently running, and you'll know immediately if there's ever an issue with anything going on in there. And again, you'll be able to have the electronic records for product genealogy. So you'll be able to pull up a unit history very quickly and see everything that was done on that unit. For recalls or just any kind of information like that, you'll be able to quickly and easily pull that information up. You're going to see error reduction because of the forced route control and the online work instructions, making sure that the operators know exactly what needs to be done and they have the most up-to-date information at all times at their workstations. And you're going to see increased speed in production and in documentation. So you're taking out all the extra stuff that the operators need to do. All they need to worry about with 42Q is just doing their job. They just need to put in the information they have. It tells them where that unit needs to go next. They're going to be able to pull up the work instructions, and it'll be on the correct page that they need, so they won't have to flip through pages in an SOP to get to the section that has to do with what they're currently doing right then. So you're going to see a lot of increased speed because of what 42Q is going to give you. So that everyone understands what we're doing, here's what we're going to be covering in this demo. So we're going to have a product that we're creating, 42Q mug, and it's going to have two sub-assemblies, a lid and instructions. And this below is the route that we're actually going to be following. So we're going to start at the assembly location where the assembly process is happening. And this is where the two sub-assemblies are going to go on. If it passes that location, it will move on to functional test. This is where the functional test process is happening. It will be tested. Once it passes that, it will go on to the final inspection process. Passes there, it will then be complete. If at any point in the assembly, functional test, or final inspection locations it fails, it will go up to the rework location. So let's go ahead and jump into 42Q and see how this works. Okay, so to start this off, I'm actually going to show you the end result first. So I'm going to show you the operator interface, which in 42Q is production workbench. So I'm going to show you what your operators will see while going through a route. Then we'll take a look at how you can view the data and dashboards and reports. And then at the end, we'll take a look at kind of a high-level overview of how everything is actually set up in 42Q. So again, this is production workbench or operator interface. So your operators would log into here, and this is where they would do all their work through. So I'm going to start by scanning a serial number of a unit I'm going to be working on. So you see when the operator scans the serial number, they'll be presented with the prompts for everything they need to do, whether this is assembly information or attribute information. So if these are components they're putting on, they could have to put in the serial number of the component, the batch number, something like that. For attributes, they'll have to put in whether it's a color, it's just a question, something like that. They'll be presented with all these prompts here. And then they'll also see their work instructions. So this is another thing that makes things a lot faster, and it'll improve the quality so that you'll always know that your operators have the most up-to-date work instructions. So you no longer have to worry about passing out paperwork instructions or anything like that. If you need to update these work instructions, you do it through 42Q, and then immediately everybody has the most up-to-date SOP or whatever work instructions they actually need. So we see here for this step, this is an assembly step. So we're presented with, we're going to be putting on some instructions and then a lid on this particular mug for our example here. So we need to scan the serial number of the instructions and the lid. So we're presented with prompts for that. So I'm going to go ahead and scan those now. Put those in there, and then I'm presented with the option to add any commands. So this could be if I needed to record a defect, if I needed to add any comments, add attributes, any of that kind of information. And this can be customized in here so that your operators are only presented with the commands that they need. You can also go in and create custom commands, so you can have things done automatically. So if you wanted your operators, as soon as they got done scanning the information, if you wanted it to immediately go ahead and end it and send it to the next location, you could have that done. We can do macros where we can combine commands. So if you needed to combine a couple of commands and you wanted something to happen in the back end that the operator doesn't even see, like if you wanted a particular comment added to the unit history or something like that, you can set that all up in the system, and it's very easy to do so in there. So I'm done with this here, so I'm just going to go ahead and scan my finisher command, which is end. And as soon as that is selected, there, you see the operator sees that this is passing on to functional test 1. So it tells the operator where that unit needs to go next. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more units, and then we're going to go through the rest of the route here. So I'm going to scan my next unit. All right, and the same thing, I'm going to scan the serial number for my instructions and the lid. All right, and then go ahead and scan my finisher command. And then our third one. And then we'll end that. All right, so now I'm going to move over to the next location on our route, which is functional test 1. Okay, so now I'm at the next location in my route. I'm at functional test 1. So I'm going to scan my first unit. All right, you see now I'm at functional test 1, so I'm presented with a couple of attributes that I need to complete. So these are asking the questions, did the vent open normally and did it close normally? And you'll also see where the work instructions are. There's some additional tabs at the top. And we also have these work instructions set to, this is a 4-page work instruction document. And we have this set up to where the work instructions, depending on which location it's at in the route, it will go ahead and flip to the correct page number. So the operator doesn't have to scan through the page numbers and find the steps that are necessary for their particular location. It will have it automatically flip to the correct page in there. Where you see the work instructions, you'll also see some additional information. Up here, you can click the information tab and you'll see who's logged in, the unit, the shop order, and where it's currently at. And then you'll also see under unit elements. So here you'll see any components that were added previously, and any comments, any attributes that have been filled out. You'll see when we go to our repair location, you'll also see if any defects have been added and the information that comes with that. So at your repair location, the operators can scan the serial number and they'll be able to see what the issue was with it and what they need to work on in there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and complete these. So I will say yes and yes for these two. and then put in my finisher command. There we go. All right, so I'm going to scan my second one. All right, so now let's say at this one we found an issue. Let's say that the vent opened normally. So I'm going to say yes. But then let's say it did not close normally. There was an issue with this. So I'm going to say no. And then I'm going to record a defect against this. So this is going to add the defect into the system, and it will tell it that it needs to go to the rework location that we specified in our route. So I'm going to say record defect. There we go. So now I need to choose which defect code I want to add. So let's say functional test fail, and these could be as generic or specific as you want. The defect codes can be created by you in the system and customized any way you want. So they can say any kind of information you want. So these can be particular to whatever type of product that you're actually making in there. All right, so I'm going to my defect code and enter that, and then enter my finisher command. All right, so now you'll see that will actually go to my rework location since we had to record a defect against that. So now I'm going to scan my third one, and we'll just go ahead and pass this one, and then add our finisher command. There we go. All right, so now we're going to move over to our last normal location in our route, which is final inspection, and then after that we'll go over to the rework location to show you what the rework station will actually see. Okay, so now we're at our final inspection location, so we're going to go ahead and scan our first unit. All right, you see at this location the attributes are presented as just checkboxes. So this is just a checklist for somebody to go through as they're going down and checking everything. So you'll see these attributes can be presented in multiple different ways. They can be a checkbox like this. They can be Boolean, whether it's yes, no, true, false. They can be presented where they have to put in text, and it could be free text where they can put in anything they want for like a comment, for instance. Or if there's some specific information you want, you can lock that down in the system to where it has to meet the criteria for the information that you need for that particular attribute in there. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and check the boxes for these for our first unit. We'll say that this one passes. So we'll just add in our finisher command. There we go. And then we'll go to our third unit. All right, so we'll say that this one passes this. Let's say it's something like it arrived dirty. It came to the station dirty. So this is not necessarily anything that needs to be repaired or anything, but you still want to keep track of this information in the system. So if you're getting a lot of units that are coming dirty, you might want to check something in the system, whether it's machinery, a particular location, how it's getting to that location, things like that. So we're going to go ahead and add a defect, but we're going to add a repair code to it. So this way it won't fail it to the rework location. It will still pass it, but we'll still be recording that information in the system. So I'm going to select the record defect. So we'll say record defect. And so we'll put in a defect code of 0205, which is unclean assembly. But we'll go ahead and add in a repair code to this. So we'll say clean assembly. So it came unclean, but we went ahead and cleaned it. There we go. So now we can put in our finisher commands. As we'll see, it goes ahead and completes this, so it doesn't send it to the rework location because we recorded a defect, but we also recorded a repair code against that in there. All right, so now we're going to go over to our rework location so we can take a look at that. Okay, so now we're at our rework location. So now we can scan the serial number of that first one that we failed. So we'll scan this, and then we can pull up over here, see the information, and then we can also see the unit elements. So in the unit elements here, this is where we're going to see what the defect was. So this one just said functional test fail in there. That's our defect sequence. So if we had multiple defects, we would see them listed out here in there. And so then at this rework location, they could go ahead and repair the defects. So defect sequence, so that was number 1. And then we could put in our repair code. All right, so now when I put in the finisher command here, it will send it back through the system wherever you specify in your route in there. So this is production workbench. Again, this is our operator interface. So you can see how this is going to greatly help with the quality of making sure that the units go through the route that's specified for them. And also the speed of everything, making sure that your operators don't have to worry about anything except doing the job that's presented to them in there. Their work instructions are right there for them. It's already on the particular page they need. They're just simply presented with the prompts of everything they need to do, and then 42Q will tell them where that unit needs to go next in there. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at how you as a plant manager, operations manager, whatever your job role is, how you can view all this information and see it very quickly. So your key performance indicators and everything, how everything's currently doing in the system. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is 42Q Live. So let's say you need something that can show you at all times how everything is currently running in real time on your manufacturing floor. Well, 42Q Live is going to give you that. So we can flip over here to 42Q Live. So on the front screen here in the system, this will show you your global map. So if you're responsible for multiple manufacturing facilities, whether locally or internationally, you'll be able to get a global view here of where they're all at, and then you're presented with your different levels. So you can just simply click on any one of these. If you hover over it, you'll see a top level view, and then if you click on any one of these levels, it's going to open this up into another screen. So this is a screen that can be left up. You can put it on a TV in your office, on a computer monitor, whatever it is, and you can just simply leave this up. And this is going to auto refresh every 5 minutes or however long you specify in the system, so that it's always going to be updated to show you the real-time information of how everything is currently running in this manufacturing facility. So you'll be able to place these icons of where the manufacturing lines already are. We can also have levels in here for OEE information and machine data. So you can keep track of any of that important information that you need to know on your manufacturing floor. So you'll be able to see in real time if there's an issue that happens. So you'll see an indicator that looks like this if your whatever thresholds you've set on this particular floor, if they fall below whatever that threshold is. So if your yield falls below whatever you have specified, your throughput, any of that kind of information falls below that, you'll see an indicator, and then you will also receive a notification. So the system will actually send out an email to whoever you specify so that they're notified immediately that there's an issue occurring. And we can set warning and critical thresholds for this. So this kind of helps you be proactive in that you're not waiting until something goes down. If you see these trends start to get to a certain percentage, then you can actually be sent out a notification, and that's going to let you know that these things are starting to go down a bad road, and you want to take a look before it gets any worse in there. You're going to have a rotating carousel of cards at the bottom. These are going to show you the current status of each one of these lines on your manufacturing facility. You would also have icons for OEE or machine data if you had that in this level. And these are going to rotate. So we only have 3 in this one, but if you had, let's say, 8 or 10 on this particular floor, these cards would rotate through. So you'd be able to see that information on there. And then any one of these, either the icon or the card. So let's go to functional test. We can click on this. It'll show us some additional information here about our target yield and then our current yield and then the throughput information. And then we can click again on that, and it's going to show us more detailed information about the units that are actually going through and the information based by the unit in there. So we'll be able to see all that information for all the lines, OEE, and machine data that's currently on our floor. So again, this is a good way, something to leave up on a screen to where you can just constantly glance up there and see how everything's currently running, and you'll be able to see in real time if there's ever an issue that occurs on your manufacturing floor. All right, so next we're going to take a look at Operation Dashboard. So Operation Dashboard is going to give you a visual dashboard where you can see the levels of everything for all the KPI information, OEE information, all this important information from your manufacturing facilities. You'll be able to just quickly glance up and see how everything is currently setting up. Whether it's defect information, cycle time, throughput, yield, any of this, you'll be able to see this very quickly by looking at these dashboards in here. Now you can create as many of these dashboards as you want. So you could have a individual dashboard for the top level for a manufacturing facility, and then you could have separate dashboards by line. You could have a separate dashboard for your OEE information, so you can customize this any way you want. And I'm going to show you when you open this up, it's very easy to customize. So when you first come in, you're presented with a default dashboard that kind of gives you a starting point that you can edit and things like that, but the default has got some good information to start with. And then you're also going to have new, which I'll show you, which gives you just a blank slate to build this dashboard off of. So I'm going to open up the default. And again, this opens up on a separate screen, so you could leave this up on a TV or another computer monitor or wherever you wanted to in your office. And again, this will also automatically refresh at whatever interval you specify in there. All right, so we'll see in this default one, we've got some charts that are going to show us our yield, throughput, cycle time by product family, throughput, yield by product family, top yield process, top defect, and then top cycle time by product. So you'll be able to go into some of these and drill down a little bit further too. So if we go into cycle time by product family, we can click on any one of these, and then it's going to show us the particular products in there. So it'll show us our min, average, and max for any one of these. So any one of these charts, and there's a lot more different charts that you can pull down, which I'll show you in just a second. You can build this any way you want in here. So if you wanted to adjust this default one, we can just go up here and simply click organize. And let's say we didn't want the cycle time by product family. We could take this out, and then we could make this one a little bit larger, this one as well, and then we could save that. So it's very easy to adjust this in here. You can also add in filters. So if you wanted to filter this down to only show you the information for a particular product line or product family in there, you can just simply go over here and you can filter this at a global level. So you can filter it for the entire dashboard, or you can filter it by the individual widgets. So I'll buy these individual reports that you can add in. So if you wanted certain ones to show you the top level information and some to show you the specific information for a specific product or something like that, you can filter it either way you want in here in the system. All right, so now let's say that we got this the way we wanted to. So let's go ahead and say we wanted to take this one out, and we can add in, if you click right here, this is going to show you the full list. So you'll see you have a lot of different widgets, these reports that you can add in. So performance information, quality, top 5 repairs, uptime, OEE information. So there's a lot of different widgets that you can add into here. All right, so let's say we're going to add in cycle time by line. We're going to add this in here. We want to expand that and save that. So we can quickly adjust that to show that information. And then we just simply click here, and we can go in and give this dashboard a name. And scroll down and click apply and save. And so now we could close this out, and we're back here. If we refresh this, so we will now see that dashboard there, and we could just open this up, and that's available at all times now. So we could quickly pull it up. So again, you can have as many of these dashboards as you want in there. So you have the default one to give you a starting point, or you can just simply open up the new, and this gives you a blank slate here. So you could just simply pull down any one of these you want and adjust them, and so on and so forth. So put in whichever widget you want into here, save that, give it a name, and then that report, that dashboard's ready to use. So you can see these are very easy to build and customize, and you can build as many of these as you want to see the information that's important to you in the system. So now we're going to take a look at some of the reports that you can access. So we're going to go over into MES Web. Okay, so let's say that your current yield is lower than your target yield, and you want to see if there's been more time taken to process units, or how long units are in wait status, or any of that kind of information. So we can just simply go here to cycle time, pull this information up so we can see all the different processes in our route. We can see the cycle time, hands-on time, unattended time, and the wait time. So we'll be able to pull that information up so we can see the cycle time information for everything that's currently going through there. All right, so now let's say that we want to see the HPU information by the operator. So we want to see how each operator is doing to see if maybe we're having an issue with a particular operator, maybe they need some additional training or something like that. So we can pull up that information as well. So be able to pull this up so you'll be able to see the serial numbers that are going through, the employee number, so who is actually doing this, the process, start and end date, and then how long it's actually taking them. So the hours per unit for that particular operator that's actually going through and working that. So you'll be able to see that information broken all the way down to the actual operator that's doing this, so you can see how they're doing when they're actually working on these. So if you're getting a particular operator that's taking longer than others, things like that, like I said, maybe they need some additional training or something like that. All right, so now let's say you want to get a real-time comparison of different processes. So you want to look at your roll-through yield. So we can pull that information up here. All right, so here we'll be able to see for all the different processes that are in this route. We'll be able to go and see how many passes, how many units, the yield. So we'll be able to see all that information broken down in this report. All right, so now let's say you're management or a supervisor and you have multiple customers in production and you want to see a complete summary of all the products, orders, location, lines, everything, and you want to see the real-time continuous information that's in there. So we can go and pull up our WIP distribution report. All right, so here we'll be able to see the quantity that's at each location, the percentage in total, the shop order information. So we'll be able to see all that information broken down from a top level view of everything that's currently going on at your location. Be able to see that broken down by that. And then another one that's important is the unit history. So we want to be able to show the genealogy of all these units that's going through the system and be able to pull that information up very quickly. All right, so first we'll look at one of the units that we actually ran through the system, and then we'll take a look at one that's got some more detailed information to show you what that looks like. So to pull up the unit history on a particular serial number, it's very easy. All you simply do is click up here and then scan the serial number or enter it, and it pulls up that information. All right, so we'll be able to see all the information that was added here. So all the components that were added, any of the attributes that were filled out, any repair information, any of this information we'll be able to see, and we'll be able to pull that up very quickly in the system. So we'll be able to see the serial number. If it's currently at a location, we'll be able to see where it's at, the shop order, any of this information, all of it's kept in the system, and you can pull it up very quickly and easily and show that unit history in there. So now we'll take a look at another unit that goes through a few more different steps just to kind of show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go back here. We'll pull this unit up. So we can see this unit's got a few more different steps that it actually goes through. So we see this goes through assembly. Let's say it goes to rework here, some SMT information, goes through and adds all that information so we can keep track of that in here. We also have the ability with 42Q to integrate with test equipment and things like that, so that if a unit is going through a particular test machine and we want to keep track of all that data against that particular unit, we can actually integrate with these test these pieces of test equipment, and we can store that information with the unit history. So that's our measurement feature. So we can see here this show measurement data. If we click on that, we'll actually see all the measurement data. So all the testing that was ran against this particular unit, we'll be able to keep that information with the unit in the system. So that's our measurement feature. So that's how easily it is to pull up the unit history for a particular serial number and view any of the information, every single thing that happened to that unit. You'll be able to see that information right here. Okay, so now we're going to take a high-level overview look at how things are actually set up in the system and where things are actually created in the system. So we're going to go to shop floor configuration. All right, so here in shop floor configuration, this is where you're going to set up everything that's necessary for your routes. So this is where you're going to go through and add your different locations. Again, whether these are actual locations where an operator is going to be scanning information into the system, these could be logical locations throughout your route where something's just sitting and waiting or something like that. So this is where all your locations are created, and they're created by their unit status. So if something's on the line, if it's a start location, if it's a repair location, if it's a completed location, so all that's created by these locations in the system. So we create our locations. You have your data collectors. This is where you create your defect codes. So again, I told you can customize these defect codes to the description to be whatever you want. So whatever is pertinent to the unit that you're actually building, you can add in that information for the repair codes, the defect codes, any of that kind of information. You can create those custom in here. We have our part numbers. So our part numbers can be created in the system. So you can simply add a part number, add in the part number information. With 42Q, we also do integrations with ERP systems. We have APIs and pre-built connectors available for ERP systems. And so this way we can pull in work orders from your ERP system, and it will actually create the part numbers with the bill of materials and all that for that particular part number. It will create it in the system when that shop order comes in. And so we can just simply have the part numbers created that way, or like I said, you can create them manually and have all that information created in the system there. But with that ERP integration, that also takes out the step of having to create the shop orders manually in the system. They'll just be pushed through from your ERP system, and then we can just release them from there in 42Q. So that's our part numbers. So we also have the routes. So this is where you add in all your locations. So if we go into the route that we've been working with here, so you see you add in your different locations, and then you specify the fail to, pass to, where the source locations are, so where this unit can pull from. And so this is the force quality part where you're making sure that the unit can only travel the specified route that you say. So you specify where a unit has to go when it leaves a particular location. So if there's supposed to be a testing step in there, if this keeps people from trying to skip that testing step, this forces them to have to send it there. So if they're trying to save time and skip some steps, the system will actually not let them. So if deviations need to be done, somebody would have to be authorized to do so in the system. So if somebody was trying to move something past a specific step, they would actually have to, a supervisor, someone would actually have to log in to authorize that before the system would actually allow it in there. So that's how we create our route. We also can go through and create our different assembly information and attributes. So we can go through and add in our different steps here, whether it's tracked information or non-tracked information. So we can take a look at one of these. So again, here we're putting in the lid serial number, and we're just specifying the mask for it, saying that it needs to be lid with 6 numbers behind it. So this could also be a tracked component. So that would mean that it's going to pull that unit from the system. If this was a previously built component, a subcomponent or something like that, and it would pull that unit from the system and assign it to this, the main product. And so that way that subcomponent could not be reused or anything like that. So we can specify all that with the assembly information, and then also with our attributes. So we can do this by process or location. So we go in and look at this. So again, we can see the different questions or anything like that that we want to add into here. We can see all that information and create all that with the attributes in the system. All right, and the last thing we're going to look at is the work instructions. Again, being able to do online work instructions where you can update this in real time, and that way as soon as you update it, your operators are presented with the most up-to-date information. You don't have to go around and collect paperwork and worry about if this particular operator or this operator has the most up-to-date information. So that's all done in the system. So we can pull this up. All right, so we can see here our different processes. So assembly, functional test, final inspection, our work instructions, and then again we specified which starting page we wanted it to be at, because that was a 4-page document. So again, your operators, you specify in here, then it'll go ahead and be flipped to the correct page so that they're presented with the exact information that they need at that time. And then again, if I needed to update this information, I could update it in here, save that, and then in real time that's updated out to all my operators, so they're always using the most up-to-date information in the system. So to recap, we just went through and showed you how the 42Q Digital Factory Starter Kit is going to give you the ability to enforce route control. So you're going to be able to build out your route in the system with all the locations and specify where units have to go from one location to the next. And the system is going to force that to happen so that someone can't skip steps in a route to try and save time or something like that. So this is going to make sure that the quality is ensured in your manufacturing facility. You're going to have track and trace, so you're going to be able to keep track of everything that's done to these units, be able to trace exactly where they are on your routes and find out all that information very quickly and very easily. You're going to be able to provide online work instructions. So you're going to make sure that all your operators always have the most up-to-date SOP or work instructions. And not only that, but when they are at their workstation, when they scan a serial number, it will pull up that SOP to the correct page number. So if it's a multi-page SOP or work instruction, they don't have to scroll through and find the portion that has to do with their workstation. It will already be pulled up to that correct page number. You're going to be able to run on-demand reports. So to pull up any of this important information that you have, keeping track of these units. So your key performance indicators, your unit history, your WIP information, defect information, any of this important information you can pull up very quickly and very easily. Schedule these reports, anything you need to do to be able to see that information, send it out, whatever you need to do. You're going to be able to see the real-time factory working using 42Q Live. So this is your real-time monitor that you can have up somewhere and see how everything is currently running in real time on your manufacturing floor. So this is going to let you know if things are currently running good. If there's an issue, you'll see an indication, and you'll also receive an alert. So this is going to let you know when there's an issue occurring or how everything's currently running, any of that thing. And you're going to be able to see that in real time. You're going to have electronic records for product genealogy. So again, you'll be able to pull up the unit histories for these units, batches, anything very quickly and easily. See which operator was working on it, when it occurred, which assembly parts, what subcomponents were put on there, any attributes. If you're also using our measurement feature, it will combine in that measurement data from the test equipment with the unit history so that it's all tracked together, and you can pull it up very quickly and very easily. And you're going to see a lot of error reduction and increased speed because, again, your operators are only going to need to worry about doing the job that they have to do at their workstation. The system is going to tell them when they scan a serial number what exactly they need to do, and their work instructions will be right there pulled up to the correct page number. So it's going to make their jobs a lot easier than trying to find the correct paperwork, trying to flip to the correct page, all that stuff. All they're going to have to do is scan that serial number, follow the prompts, and they'll see all the correct information right there. So So thank you for watching this video. If you want to find out more about using the 42Q Digital Factory Starter Kit, please get in touch with our team, and we look forward to working with you more. Thanks again.